So here's the 1.5 side of this poster, and tell me why they did Riku and Axel dirty and cut them off on the poster. Isn't that crazy? I'm still waiting to go in, that's why I'm just talking and passing time. Hey guys, it's Ariel. I just got back from LA because, as most of you already know, I was invited to attend the Kingdom Hearts 3 Premiere Invitational event, where they let content creators and members of the media be the first ones to try a playable build of Kingdom Hearts 3. This was a huge opportunity for me and my channel, and I'm really thankful that I got to participate in this. Thank you guys for helping me reach this point. Alright, so I might sound a little weird because I'm using a different mic, I'm in a different area of my house, and I'm fasting today, so I apologize if I seem a little low on energy. But anyways, today we'll be going in detail about what I played, how it works, and my thoughts on everything. Square gave us all an hour and a half to play both the Olympus demo and the Toy Box demo. Let's go over the demo one category at a time. Starting with the presentation, the game looks amazing. The HUD is very slick. I played only on the PS4 Pro, but the frame rate was above 30 pretty much the entire time, except rare instances where it would lag when starting the rocket or having a lot of enemies spawn at once. Not really too worried about the frame rate because you can't expect a perfect performance from the demo when the game isn't even finished yet. The demo had lots of cutscenes, which I'm not allowed to show, but it had English voice acting. I'm very happy to say that Sora's voice is really good. He gives off that old KH2 vibe in many scenes. The Toy Story characters were great too, except I thought Woody's voice wasn't that great. Well, more specifically, his delivery was really off-putting for a lot of his lines. The voice itself did sound enough like Woody. The cutscenes themselves, though, are very lively, and it's not some short, oh, we need to go here over and over again. There's a lot of personality to them, and they are quite lengthy a lot of the time. I did find, though, that if you don't want to watch scenes, we get a pause skip scene option, and to my surprise, the skip scene option was very snappy, and felt like skipping a scene in Kingdom Hearts 2. You see, that's notable because in recent titles like Kingdom Hearts 0.2, the menus were very sluggish and you couldn't really input quickly. This also applied to the skip scene button. Maybe this is a sign that Kingdom Hearts 3 will have extremely responsive menus like Kingdom Hearts 2 did. It's certainly a huge change from Kingdom Hearts 0.2 and very welcome. I like my super responsive menus. Other small things have changed, like now when you talk to characters they have fully voiced lines instead of the text boxes you would read over in previous games. Now that that's a thing of the past, the voice acting undertaking for this game is gonna be huge. The characters have been given personality with different idle animations for whether or not they have their weapons out, and little things like that. During gameplay, nothing ever misses a beat in terms of looks. There's fast-paced action and a bunch of beautiful particles everywhere that really makes everything a spectacle. Kingdom Hearts has always been known to be a fancy game with lots of neat effects, and it's a no-brainer, but this is easily the greatest looking Kingdom Hearts game ever, bar none. Nothing even comes close. The loading times for this demo were pretty long, taking up to 20 seconds every time it loaded a new area. But really, it's no problem because the areas are so huge you won't get another loading screen for a good while. It's not like past Kingdom Hearts games where you would walk room to room frequently, and instead the game loads a big world for you to explore almost every time. Don't worry, there are still room dividers to say, kind of. When you walk into new areas, you'll get these checkpoints on the side of the screen letting you know where you are now without the need to load a new area. Speaking about actual world design, I'm happy to say that the worlds are huge and full of a bunch of little interactable things. You can find little details everywhere, meticulously designed. There's branching paths to explore, treasure chests are placed to reward you for checking obscure areas, Easter eggs are abundant, and it's easy to get lost in the world. But it's not too much of an open world where it feels like everything just kind of blends together and becomes a snooze. It gives off a very Kingdom Hearts 1 vibe with verticality and interactive environments, which is a blessing compared to the bland flat landscapes we got in Kingdom Hearts 2. Looking at movement options in this game, the biggest question you probably have is about flow motion. Well, I'm very happy to report that flow motion is perfectly fine. I used to always get kind of fearful whenever flow motion would appear in previous Kingdom Hearts trailers and just be like, oh no, because it was so ridiculous in Dream Drop Distance, and you could use it to get anywhere with no effort, no growth abilities. Now, you can only jump off a wall one at a time, and you can do the dash off the wall I couldn't really get it consistent, but it definitely stops after 2 or 3 or so dashes. It's interesting to note that Sora could not wall jump in the Olympus demo but could in the Toy Story, so maybe it suggests you learn more flow motion as you get through the game. The flow motion attacks are really toned down as well. You can do this attack after touching a wall, the slam attack after jumping off of the wall, but the slam no longer does a big shockwave. And I like it that way. It's by no means useless either, great for getting in on an enemy. The other attack that you can do after touching a wall, apparently you can combo with regular combos afterwards, but I didn't really check. Overall, I'm super happy with flow motion and not worried about it in the slightest. Good job, Square. The air slide is kind of lame, not because it doesn't go far, but because it kills all of your aerial momentum, giving a very floaty feeling. It's great for attack canceling or trying to inch around, but it really breaks the flow of air movement the way Sora waits a bit too long before gravity turns back on. Running around the world was very cool, but Sora doesn't really dramatically speed up like Aqua did in 0.2. On one hand, that makes everything look more natural. On the other, sometimes running around in bigger fields, you just feel like, wow, this is gonna take some time, huh? Maybe they could tweak the running speed a tiny bit or add some kind of sprint function or something, or maybe they just intended for me to use a flow chain or something to get around bigger spaces, and I just didn't think to do it. Learning something like glide later on would probably help as well. The dodge roll is wonderful, very good iframes, timing felt natural, and guess what? Dodging into a wall does not trigger flow motion. Gone are the days of dying due to that. The quick run used during transformations also worked great, I loved all of it. There's also this new white indicator to let you know that you can wall run. A lot of people complained to me about the glow on the walls that you can run on, and I didn't see it as that big of an issue, but I can totally see where they're coming from, that it kind of takes away the beauty of the environment a bit too much. Maybe making the indicator a bit more subtle would be nice. Wall run is nice. It was a little wonky at first and took some getting used to, but that could be the input lag on my setup. Running with Sora in general did feel a little heavy, and he's not the best at turning. I wish he responded to the analog stick a bit better and didn't have all these in-between animations to make him appear a little more realistic or whatever. In my opinion, it just makes him feel less responsive. A neat little thing I kinda noticed but I'm not 100% sure about is I was able to fall down from large heights at times without going into this diving sequence. I don't know if it was the way I held the left stick or if it was my camera position or just a glitch, but something I was doing made me able to avoid the dive if I didn't want to do it, which is nice. Choice always is. If you are in the dive though, you can easily cancel into anything, a dash, attack, magic spell, and it's a nice little feature in itself. Looking at some attacks, the combo they gave us is the same one from the trailer. So we got one regular attack and a whopping 3 finishers. Kind of a bummer I still can't judge the combo speed too much since we're working finisher to finisher here, but that's the setup they're showing off. When Sora attacks actual enemies, he does pack a good punch and has a good weight to it. No more handheld paper keyblades, it feels very real and satisfying. Sora, however, didn't really do well at what I call the float test. Jump, attack, and see what it looks like to fall to the ground. In Kingdom Hearts 2 you can attack and still be falling, no floatiness whatsoever. In Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora will do the exact same Keyblade attack, no difference, but you'll see he will float with it, wait for it to finish before falling to the ground. To no surprise, it's about the same level of floatiness from Kingdom Hearts 0.2, but the thing that makes Sora feel floatier is his consecutive finishers, because he hangs after each one. So that actually makes these combos, or at least the combo setup we have on right now, feel floatier than 0.2. But if Sora had more normal attacks, it probably would be just about on par. You'll just be getting a lot more airtime waiting for animations to finish before transitioning into a fall. Don't get me wrong, it's good to stay suspended in the air for a lot of finishers, but when it feels like the suspension lingers for a bit, that's where it makes the game feel slower and not as tight. The floatiness might just be my biggest negative about the demo, and that's weird because I was going into this expecting it to not be very floaty. Hopefully they can be convinced to adjust the physics a little bit and to have things feeling a little more tight and natural. What also makes it feel super floaty is the landing lag. If Sora performs actions in the air, or if you simply try to jump repeatedly, he won't be able to immediately jump back up because Sora has this strange landing lag every time that stops you. It's weird because it doesn't really fit with the momentum philosophy of the rest of the game, where you fluidly go from attack to spell to situation command and free flow your way through everything, with Sora being an absolute monster. The landing lag contributes a large part to the floaty feeling and is a little bit of a pace breaker to the flow of the game. What felt really good about the physical attack was the dodge cancelling out of attacks, a somewhat newer thing in the series, but I felt it become my best friend very quickly. Enemies give you cues to when they're about to attack all the time, and I heavily used air dash and dodge roll to save myself from these enemies, or just to reposition myself a little bit better. A very welcome tactic that I don't think I would be able to live without in this game. Our guard has also been updated, and we can now guard while in the air. It's a small new thing, but very nifty, and you can probably use this to tactically stay in the air longer as well, but I think more airtime is the last thing we need in this game. The guard overall is satisfying, and of course another best friend like roll cancelling for good combat. In the demo we got to use magic spells Fire, Blizzard, Thunder, Arrow, and Cure. And Magic Combo is back! Sora will do a finisher animation for magic spells if you're doing it at a finisher point in your combo, which is purely cosmetic but a nice returning feature from Kingdom Hearts 2. Magic is super fluid and an absolute pleasure to use, just like how it was in 0.2. Doesn't break the pace at all and feels really good to do on groups of enemies. Since magic spells are only level 1 spells, the situation commands we earn for tier 3 are Ga spells. For example, use Arrow a bit and you will unlock Arrow Ga spells. Later in the game it will probably change to Za spells as we've seen in previous trailers, and cool to know that it changes depending on where you are in the game. Last small side note about control before I move on. Unfortunately, the setup I played on had some atrocious input lag. It was probably the big TVs and not as much the game, but if there's a bit of input lag inherently with the game, I'm sure they'll work on that before release. The input lag also could have contributed to the floaty feeling a little, but I definitely think still there's a float regardless. From all the shot locks I messed around with, they were all very fun and did massive damage. It was weird how none of them had any level of control to them. No button prompts or timing, you just aim and fire. Maybe it's like Birth by Sleep where you have to level the shot lock up before you can get stuff like that. They did not actually feel overpowered, and that I think is because the focus you obtained is very limited. It's a scarce resource, so I had to use it wisely. If you had focus all the time, it would be easy to call them OP. You can also use flow chain with the square button when aiming shot lock, and I didn't use it too much, but it was very cool and felt a lot more natural than I thought it would. Using it on enemies starts you off with a flow motion attack, and then you seamlessly begin to use regular combos afterwards if you keep pressing X. I'd say it's another excellent way of getting in. I don't know if it's worth the precious focus though, since you do regular combo damage, but it felt really good. Let's talk about Keyblade Transformations. I remember I was very worried about this limiting the game, since we wouldn't be able to choose from a variety of forms like in previous titles, and instead are stuck with one type per Keyblade. I said the only way to remedy this would be maybe something like, aha, real-time keychain swapping. And there it is, the little arrow on the command menu is for keychain switching, and it's very fast and snappy. Super responsive, although I didn't really feel like it worked much when trying to do it literally mid-combo. Maybe I needed to play with it more, but I don't think swapping it mid-combo is necessary anyway, since Sora's basic combo format doesn't change with regular Keyblades. What's crazy is swapping actually stores your transformation state, so if you had a form activated and swapped to another key, you are successfully saving this transformation for later and it won't run out at all. This opens up interesting possibilities for strategy and will even let us have 3 or more different forms simultaneously in a fight if we play our cards right. I like that a lot. Let's talk about second form. He tries to replicate Kingdom Hearts 2 combos, and that's when you really notice the floatiness of the game compared to Kingdom Hearts 2. They're just a bit slower and leave you hanging a lot more. On the ground, they did give him explosion and guard breaks, so that was cool. His situation commands don't lead to a higher tier form, but instead give you some limits and abilities. Using any one of them ends the form, and they are all finish commands. Right away, it gives you stun impact. If you attack it more, it'll change to Sonic Blade. And I believe if you attack even more, the final level you get is Ars Arcanum. And I'm very happy to say that Ars Arcanum is a real Ars, just like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I was very worried that in the orchestra trailer they reduced Ars to some cinematic and took out all the cool fast slashes, But nope, ours is real and just as good as before. And hey, if you don't want to do the cinematic finish, you don't even have to. You can just stop before, just like in old games. So I have no gripes with it at all, and I accept the cinematic finisher now. It looks very cool after a true full Ars Arcanum. Very happy to see that they kept the control for a very iconic move, but ooh, sorry to hear about what they did to you, Duck Flare. As for the Hyper Hammer and Agile Claws form, yes, they changed the name. I had fun using them for a short time, but I didn't experiment with them a whole lot. I wasn't really feeling the hammer in the area I was in, and I heard it really worked well on the Gigas, which I did have trouble with, so maybe I should have used the hammer there. As for the claws, the combos were alright, but I had a lot of fun just dodging into enemies with it, since its roll has a scratch that comes with it. And the reason I didn't pay these forms much mind was because of the Mirage Rod transformation. This thing is a beast, and it makes sense from a balancing standpoint because the Keyblade Ever After comes from Tangled, a mid-game world, whereas the other two Keyblades are from beginning game worlds. The Mirage Rod had amazing magic-esque physical attacks, wisdom form movement, and the really neat mechanic was that using Quick Run anywhere spawns this little after image, and you can put like 4 of these out and they change your normal attack combo so you all simultaneously shoot a single target and do some massive damage. Was super fun to play around with. Overall, what I really liked was each form felt really unique, and being able to switch between them in battle gave us that element of choice back that I was so worried about when I first figured out how these forms work. What I did find concerning about the forms was the cinematic camera angles you get for doing their attacks. It really messes up your combat and disorients you a bit when the camera is trying to be all cinematic in tight spaces. And I get that it looks cool, but I'm sure that a lot of these attacks would look great without that camera as well. At least, I think I would like to have them have the camera be a little smarter, and only use the cinematic angles when there's enough room to do so, but I don't know how hard that would be to implement. They may have something like this already in the works, because sometimes when transforming I wouldn't get the cinematic, but I couldn't figure out why it really happened. The lock-on didn't matter, transforming previously didn't matter, maybe it had something to do with the area of the game I was in. The next tool Sora has in his arsenal is the Link command, which a lot of people consider to be the new summon, and they aren't really wrong. Using a Link takes a full MP bar. Take note of that, you can't use your remaining MP to use it. That's interesting. One of the things I loved about Kingdom Hearts 2 is to use your magic to the fullest by using spells at first, and then when your MP bar gets low, using a cure or a limit to make the most out of your MP, and now it seems they're limiting this. That would be fine from a balancing standpoint, except for the fact I don't really feel like Links are that powerful, so I don't see the need for the restriction. The one I used a ton was Ariel, and she's really fun. Unlike some previous summons in the series though, we don't have as much free movement, and we don't have any access to Sora's normal attacks during the Link sequence, and combining that with these guys having no iframes, it's a little jarring. For example, Ariel here has you to dive repeatedly and be able to splash attack enemies. It's a fun mini game, but the entire time you can get hit by any enemy attack, and I find that to be pretty dangerous if we think of higher difficulties. Not only that, but the cinematic for finishing the Link allows you to take damage as well. This can really punish players for using a finishing move, and I can't imagine how awkward it would be to die during a Link finish like that. They have got to be thinking to add in iframes later, right? Please do. Other than the iframe problem, I found Links to be a lot of fun to use. They even all changed the battle music to something relating to the character. I would definitely use these in the full game for fun if they tweak it just a bit to make it more fair, which I think is a no-brainer. One of the earliest new mechanics we've ever seen for this game was attraction flow. Over the course of seeing this game, I was never very interested in attraction flow. They seemed very gimmicky and not really up my alley, but I can see a lot of players enjoying the spectacle and flashiness of it, and I don't really have much of an objection to it being in the game since they are completely optional. Over and over on my streams and in some previous videos, I always called that I thought attraction flow would be like the new reality shift from Dream Drop Distance, and it works just like that. After this event, what do you know, I was right again. Activating attraction flow is extremely similar to activating a reality shift from Dream Drop Distance, and that is whenever an enemy gets this marker over him, you just have to attack him a little and you will unlock the attraction flow situation command very easily. It doesn't cost any additional MP or focus to use, Once you hit the marker, you're good to go. What attraction you receive depends on what area you're in. The game completely decides what it is for you, and that is another thing similar to Reality Shift, where it was different for each world. Some attractions may be exclusive to some fights, like a set piece. That looks to be the case for the Big Magic Mountain ride against Rock Titan. That attraction was extremely tailored to that boss fight. So attraction flow is completely what I thought it was. My interest in it is low, but that doesn't make it bad. I'll probably use it sparingly in my playthroughs out of curiosity, and then never again unless I need emergency iframes. Oh, and did I mention there's a really nice rendition of Hand in Hand that plays for attraction flow? I loved it. Sora has opportunities to team up with other party members, and I'm just gonna call these limits for now. The thing about these is the situation command for them appears for no reason whatsoever. I guess the only requirement would be that the party member needs to be alive, and it's completely up to them to give you the situation command for it. If you don't know what I mean, you can think of Mickey and his Wayfinder situation command in 0.2. It just kinda came up whenever Mickey wanted it to, and you didn't really have to combo towards it or anything. This is the epitome of the game giving you freebies for no reason, and a concern I had with older trailers in the past. I get that it's supposed to be a party member thing, but having no control at all over this feels a little weird. You know what would be cool? Being able to customize the party member's frequency of putting out the situation command with a settings menu like this one in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then that would at least give you some sort of hand in how they appear, albeit a little indirectly, but it's something. Seriously, as long as you're in battle mode, the limit could appear at any time. Look at this gameplay of Donald asking me to duck flare when there are no enemies around whatsoever. It's just kinda like, these are actually random freebies. The limits themselves though are pretty cool. Donald and Goofy's for some reason are just a cinematic with no level of control that do a set amount of damage, and maybe they'll get new ones later in the game, or maybe you have to level it up somehow. The Buzz and Woody rocket did give you a level of control, and it was great not only for fights but just for getting around, and it was very easy to end whenever you wanted to end it. One small gripe I had with them was that the animation was unskippable and kind of long. You can skip animations for Attraction Flow and Link, so I don't know why not this. I only played Toy Story for about an hour, and let me tell you, I'm already tired of this jumping on the rocket animation. But it should be no problem for them to implement a skip button for this, so this issue can be solved very easily. I get that they're trying to make party members feel a little more useful and make you notice them more, but I feel like you selecting a limit doesn't take away from that. Though now with the random pop-ups and no cost, a lot more people who only mash X through Kingdom Hearts will use these limits now. I'd say the limits are unlikely to change the format of how to do them, so I don't really expect it to change. The most I can probably ask for is that menu thing I told you guys about earlier. A lot of people wanted me to talk about how easy or hard it is to get situation commands for your transformations and magic spells. But honestly, I was told over there that they tweaked that aspect of the demo to make it easy to get them in order for you to get to try out everything, so it's really not something to be judged. If the final game's frequency is similar to 0.2, it won't be much of a problem. The only real concerning freebie is the party member limits. That one is just I don't feel too confident about that, but the rest of them all take some sort of requirement to get it going. I never felt overwhelmed with the amount of situation commands, and they do make you feel like you got lots of options. Not only that, but they showcase it to you, and that can be considered hand-holding, but it's also somewhat helpful, since a big problem in Kingdom Hearts 2 is that it didn't really explain too well all of your options in battle, so most people just went through the game mashing X. With situation commands being so noticeable, a lot more casual players will be using more diverse moves, perhaps at the cost of the element of choice timing. I know it may have sounded like I just pointed out a lot of issues, but don't forget I also pointed out a lot of things I love about the game as well. It was a demo of a game months from release, and they had the time to make adjustments to really help this game be a shining star in the Kingdom Hearts series. All of the diverse mechanics and ideas they have do have a lot of gameplay potential, and a lot of the potential was realized in the combat when I mixed them up. Don't take my concerns as me hating on the game or nitpicking things that don't matter. To me, a lot of these things matter and will impact the final game in a big way, especially on the harder difficulties where tight gameplay is important. Square Enix representatives told me that they would be checking out all of the attendees' feedback after the event, so I really want them to see this and maybe tweak the game a bit. If you want to help me with that, you could always share this video with them, although since they did invite me, I'm sure they do know where to look. But sharing never hurts if you're concerned about anything I brought up in this video. I had a blast playing this demo and I feel like there was so much more to it. Let me tell you, if they gave me 3 more hours to play, I would have still learned a lot more about the game. There was so much to take in. I wish I could keep playing today, but I am very thankful to Square Enix for letting me have the opportunity to be one of the first to try out the game and see what it's all about. I never will forget how special all of this was. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a beautiful looking game brimming with potential for very diverse, satisfying combat. And it's almost there. I can feel that something really special can come out of this if they keep paying the insane attention to detail I saw in the demo in some areas. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about what I said and what the game looks like to you. Square is watching, so maybe some of our feedback will make it into the game. Well, I've been Sir Alum1, and I'll catch you guys later.